It all started with a simple misclick. I had been browsing interstellar flight routes on my old home terminal, hoping to snag a cheap ticket to the Andari cluster for a weekend getaway. The interface was clunky, and one slip of my finger later, I found myself confirming a flight I didn't intend to book. Not to a holiday resort, not to a mining colony, but straight to the Galactic Palace on Arinder Prime. The official invitation read, "By decree of Her Majesty, Queen Liara of the United Galaxy Coalition, you are requested to attend a formal audience regarding an urgent matter of interstellar importance." I blinked. My cat, Nibs, gave me a judgmental meow, clearly unimpressed by my growing panic. I had no idea that this urgent matter would change my life or the entire galaxy forever. The arrival. The shuttle ride from the orbital station to Arinder Prime was unnervingly silent. The ship's AI, which referred to itself as Vera, spoke in polite monotone. Estimated time to landing, 17 minutes. Warning: Queen Liara's presence may induce extreme anxiety in unprepared subjects. I muttered something about unprepared subjects being a gross understatement. The landing platform gleamed under the twin suns, each beam bouncing off the polished surfaces of hovercrafts, armored guards, and diplomats from planets I didn't even know existed. I tried to look calm as I stepped onto the platform, my cheap sneakers sticking out embarrassingly against the polished ceremonial attire provided by the shuttle. Before I could fully panic, a figure approached. She was tall, impossibly elegant, with silver hair cascading down her back like liquid starlight. Her eyes were an iridescent violet, and when she smiled, I swear the entire platform seemed to hold its breath. "Queen Liara." "Welcome," she said, her voice calm yet commanding. "You are surprisingly punctual for a human." I swallowed hard. Yes. I thank you, Your Majesty. My words betrayed me, stumbling into incomprehensibility. Nibs would have been proud if he could see the mess I was making of my dignity. Liara raised an eyebrow. "You may call me Liara. Formalities are unnecessary here, but your presence is necessary for the matter at hand." The mistake. In the palace, I was ushered into a vast chamber. Holographic projections displayed galaxies, star systems, and what looked like battle maps spanning light years. I tried to process what I was seeing, but my attention was stolen by the artifact on the central pedestal, a small, glowing cube. Liara's expression grew grave. "This is the Etherian core. It maintains the stability of all wormhole travel in our coalition. Yesterday, it was nearly stolen from our archives by an interdimensional smuggler. She paused, eyes narrowing slightly. "You touched the core." I froze. What? "You," she said firmly. "While inspecting security protocols yesterday, you inadvertently engaged a lock sequence on the core. Your actions prevented the theft. If not for your mistake, the core would be gone. Entire sectors would be destabilized. Billions of lives." I shook my head in disbelief.
"Wait.
I saved the galaxy by messing up?" "Yes," Liara said. Her lips twitched, like she was trying to hide amusement. "Your mistake was fortuitous." It didn't feel fortuitous. It felt like I had accidentally walked into a cosmic trap I had no idea existed. The proposal. After hours of meetings that made my head spin, discussing wormhole stabilizers, intergalactic treaties, and some minor civil unrest on Vorton 3, I was finally allowed to sit. Liara stood before me, radiating authority and something I couldn't quite place. "Human," she said, "you have proven an unusual combination of recklessness and inadvertent heroism. Such traits are rare. In recognition of your service, and to ensure the Etherian core remains secure, I am invoking a traditional law of the Galactic Coalition. I brace myself. You are to be married to the reigning monarch. I blinked. Wait, married? To me, she confirmed. The law mandates that any individual who single-handedly prevents the destabilization of the core must be bound by matrimony to the queen. It ensures loyalty and stability. I choked on my water. But I barely know you. Liara's smile was inscrutable. Nor does it matter. Your mistake has earned you this honor, and your presence will secure the galaxy's future. You have 24 hours to prepare. 24 hours. That was it. I had 24 hours to go from ordinary human to future king, or whatever the title would be. The preparation. The palace staff was mercifully efficient. A tailor fitted me with ceremonial robes that looked like they were woven from nebulae themselves. I was instructed on proper etiquette, how to address Liara, and the subtle art of standing without looking like a flailing meatball. Liara herself spent hours instructing me on matters of governance. I learned about planetary alliances, economic treaties, and the delicate balance of interstellar politics. Every so often, she would correct my posture or whisper a subtle hint on how to appear regal. I couldn't help but notice small, humanizing quirks in her demeanor. When she thought no one was looking, she would frown at overly complicated star charts or sigh at the endless protocol manuals. And when she laughed, softly, rarely, but with genuine amusement, it sounded like music echoing across galaxies. By the time night fell, I felt completely unqualified and utterly enchanted. I didn't know how I was supposed to govern a galaxy or marry a queen, but I knew I couldn't back out. The law, after all, was clear, and Liara's gaze made it terrifyingly clear that refusal wasn't an option. The ceremony. The wedding was held in the grand central atrium of the palace, overlooking the Arinder Nebula. Thousands of dignitaries from countless worlds attended. I tried to focus on breathing while Liara glided down the aisle, her silver gown shimmering like liquid starlight, her eyes locking on mine. The officiant, a holographic entity older than some star systems, spoke in an ancient dialect that I didn't understand, but the translation was provided by a nearby drone. Do you, human of Earth, accept the responsibilities of loyalty, service, and cosmic partnership to Queen Liara, protector of the galaxy? I swallowed. I do. I managed, my voice barely audible over the hum of the energy field stabilizing the atrium. Liara's smile widened. She placed her hand in mine, and for a moment, the chaos of the galaxy, the danger, the confusion, it all disappeared. It was just us, standing together, as the stars themselves seemed to bow in acknowledgement. The honeymoon. Yes, even queens have honeymoons. Ours was a diplomatic tour disguised as leisure. We visited planets where the air shimmered with bioluminescent clouds, moons where rivers of liquid metal flowed, and cities that floated among the rings of gas giants. Everywhere we went, I was reminded of how utterly out of my depth I was, and yet how exhilarating it felt to be at Liara's side. She taught me to negotiate trade deals over alien teas, to understand the subtle cues of species who communicated entirely through light patterns, and to recognize when diplomacy required patience rather than bravado. Through it all, I made more mistakes than I could count, spilling a drink on a dignitary from Zorith 4, mispronouncing a planetary leader's name so badly they nearly walked out, and accidentally activating a levitation lift during a parade. But Liara's laughter was always there, soft and forgiving. By the end of the tour, I realized something remarkable. The galaxy didn't feel as intimidating when I had someone like Liara beside me. And I didn't feel like a hapless human any longer. I felt capable. The revelation one evening, as we hovered above the crystalline oceans of Navarra, Liara took my hand. "There's something you should know," she said. Her eyes glimmered with the weight of untold secrets. I listened, bracing for another political revelation, another cosmic emergency. You didn't just save the core, she continued. You saved me. The core is linked to my life force. Its destabilization would have ended my reign. Ended me. You didn't know it, but your mistake kept me alive. I blinked. Me? I just touched it by accident. You, Liara said softly, made the right mistake at the right time. And for that, I owe you more than thanks. I owe you my trust, my partnership, and yes, my heart. Her confession left me speechless. I had never expected romance, never expected to feel a connection with someone so impossibly powerful. Yet there it was, undeniable and alive. The new rule months passed. I learned to navigate the intricacies of interstellar governance, mediating disputes, approving treaties, and, on occasion, saving the galaxy from my own blunders. Liara never let me forget that my initial mistake had changed the course of history, but she also showed me that mistakes were not inherently failures. They could be catalysts for greatness. We ruled together, a human and a queen, an unlikely pair whose bond became a symbol of unity for the entire galaxy. And every time someone marveled at the human king who had stumbled into destiny, I would smile and whisper to myself, one innocent mistake, and here we are. As improbable as it seemed, the galaxy was thriving, and I had never felt more alive. I had gone from a human who misclicked on a terminal to a partner of the queen of the galaxy. And somehow, against all odds, it felt exactly right. Months passed. I learned to navigate the intricacies of interstellar governance, mediating disputes, approving treaties, and, on occasion, saving the galaxy from my own blunders. Liara never let me forget that my initial mistake had changed the course of history, but she also showed me that mistakes were not inherently failures. They could be catalysts for greatness. Our partnership grew stronger with every challenge. We faced threats together, rogue warlords attempting to seize unclaimed star systems, political factions attempting to undermine the coalition, even a moment when an ancient, sentient nebula threatened to consume an entire planet. In every crisis, I relied on what little instinct I had, and Liara guided me. Slowly, I became more than a human who stumbled into fate. I became her equal in judgment, if not in raw power. One evening, after a long day of diplomacy and strategic planning, Liara took my hand and led me to the palace's highest observation deck. The twin suns of Arinder were dipping below the horizon, casting the nebula in streaks of violet and gold. The air shimmered with energy, the hum of the palace quiet around us. I wanted to show you something, Liara said softly, turning to me with that impossible, calm confidence that always made my heart beat faster. What's this? I asked, still recovering from the day's diplomatic chaos. She gestured to the nebula, now glowing brighter, as if alive. This nebula is called the Ether Veil. Legends say it reflects the balance of the galaxy. When harmony is present, the veil shines. When it's threatened, it dims. I blinked. And right now? She smiled, her violet eyes reflecting the nebula's glow. It shines brighter than it ever has. Not because of the core, not because of treaties, but because of us. Because a human, by an innocent mistake, became part of something larger than himself and chose to stay and fight beside me. I swallowed. My entire life, the mundane Earth mornings, the clumsy misclick that started this, had led here. Somehow, despite my fears, my insecurities, and my total lack of experience, I had found my place. And more than that, I had found someone who saw me, not as a mistake, not as a novelty, but as an equal. Liara stepped closer. I have something more to ask of you, she whispered. Not as a queen, not as a partner in governance, but as someone who cares for you deeply. My heart raced. Anything. She lifted my hand, pressing it to her chest. Will you choose to remain by my side, not out of duty, not because of law, but because you wanna? Will you marry me, truly, as partners in every sense? I felt tears prick at the corners of my eyes. I had never imagined a question like this, never expected that my accidental heroism would lead to something so profound. Yes, I said, my voice trembling. 1,000 times yes. She smiled, and the nebula outside seemed to pulse with approval. That night, for the first time, I realized that my life wasn't just a series of mistakes or luck. It was a story, one that I got to shape alongside the woman who had become my everything. The wedding had already been formalized by law, but we celebrated again, privately, in the palace's hidden garden. Bioluminescent flora illuminated the night, casting shadows that danced like starlight on the water features. Liara and I exchanged vows of our own making this time, promises not dictated by law or duty, but by choice, love, and trust. I promise to listen, I said, to learn, to protect the galaxy alongside you, but also to protect us, whatever comes. And I promise, she replied, to trust in your courage, your heart, and your humanity. You may have arrived here by mistake, but together we will make no mistakes that matter. We sealed the vows with a gentle kiss. The universe seemed to sigh with relief, as if even the stars themselves approved of this unlikely union. In that moment, I understood something profound. Sometimes, the greatest adventures begin with mistakes. Sometimes, the smallest actions, an accidental touch, a misclick, a moment of hesitation, can ripple through the cosmos and change everything. Years later, I would look back on that fateful day when an innocent human misstep led to galactic stability and smile. We ruled together, bringing peace, innovation, and unity to countless worlds. Liara's wisdom and my human ingenuity formed a bond stronger than any law, stronger than any fleet. And through it all, we never forgot the day the galaxy's fate rested on a single, accidental human act. And every night, as I stood beside her watching the stars, I whispered to myself, one innocent mistake and I am not just a human anymore. I am part of a story written across the stars, with the Queen of the Galaxy at my side. The universe was vast, mysterious, and terrifying, but with Liara it was also ours. And in that certainty, I finally felt truly home.